So hi all, myself Sriran and this is my friend Venumilan. So we will be discussing about the topic women, caste and reform, and we will be discussing main topics in it.
Agenda, introduction, changing the lives of widows, caste and social reforms, conclusion.
So we will be seeing a short introduction about the women's caste and reforms in those periods and how people treated the women, and we will be seeing how the British rule changed the life of widows. We know that the British got many policies to make widow remarriage, and so caste and social reforms. There are many caste and untouchabilities. So we will be seeing about that, and we will be seeing about the conclusion too. So now we will see an introduction on it. The 19th and the early 20th centuries were a period of significant social reform in India, addressing deep-rooted inequalities related to gender and caste. So on basis of gender and caste, during the 19th and 20th centuries, the people mistreated everyone, and also they made many inequalities during that period. During this time, social reformers took active steps to challenge discriminatory practices and improve the conditions of marginalized communities, especially women and lower caste. So the marginalized communities, in the sense, it means that the people who are at the very poor stage, and many social reformers means they are protesters who they protested for practices like sati and to improve the conditions of the many poor people, and especially the women in India. Women faced various restrictions such as child marriage, lack of education and the practice of sati. So the women were so many women faced child marriage. During the childhood itself they got married, and lack of education. The women they were interested in education, but no one allowed them to go to school and get education. And reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar and Jyotirao Phule fought against these injustices, advocating for widow remarriage, women's education and end to oppressive customs. So these are the main reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, like them. They protested for widow remarriage and women's education for their future policies.
Changing the lives of widows. In the 19th century, Indian society imposed several restrictions for widows. They were often forced to lead a life of seclusion, wear plain clothes, slave relations, and avoid participating in social events. In the 19th century, the Indian women were got many restrictions that they should wear plain clothes, not to go to studies and save their heads. Child marriage was common and young widows had no opportunity to remarry. In this, they have child marriage and don't have the remarriage. Social reforms like Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar played a key role in imposing the lives of widows. They were fought for the lives of widows. Raja Ram Mohan Roy strongly opposed the practices of sati, where widows were forced to burn themselves on their husband's funeral pyre. Due to his efforts, the British government passed the Sati Abolition Act in 1820.
So during those periods, what the culture of the Indians were, if a woman's husband, if he is dead and his body is being burnt, the woman herself should also be dead for the death of her husband. So due to this, the British government passed the Sati Abolition Act. So this is the process of sati. They abolished sati and they made an act for it in the 1829 years. So Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar worked tirelessly to promote widow remarriage. His efforts led to the passing of the Hindu Widow Remarriage Act of 1856, which legalized the remarriage of widows. So this act of Hindu Widow Remarriage Act is a very important act in this 19th and 20th centuries. And Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar he was tirelessly protesting for the widow remarriage. So due to this act, the widow remarriage became legal, and he also advocated for the education of widows and worked to change societal attitudes. So the community would see the widow in a very different manner. So what Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar did this, he advocated for the education of the widow so that they can learn, and to change the view on the widow of the social community. Many reformers and organizations set up schools and homes for widows, giving them opportunities for education and self-reliance. So many reformers, as we saw as Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, they made many houses and schools for widows for their living. Over time, these efforts contributed to the greater social acceptance of the widow remarriage. So these efforts made by these reformers made the society to approve that widow remarriage is okay.